Apocalypse is one of the deadliest enemies in the entire Marvel universe, and I really love the implementation of Apocalypse as a boss event in Marvel Puzzle Quest. Today, we're going to talk about how to defeat him. Hey everybody, welcome back to MPQ Mastery, where we teach you to destroy more gems. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification. So we recently had the Apocalypse event pass by, and I had a lot of people asking, well, what's the best characters to use? How do you fight him? What's the best strategy? So you know what I decided to do? Go ahead and whip up a video for you guys. Because Apocalypse is kind of a unique situation when it comes to fights in Marvel Puzzle Quest. In most fights, you're fighting 3 enemies, and everything kind of just works the same as what it normally does. However, with Apocalypse, you're fighting just a single enemy, similar to Galactus and Thanos. And every time each member of your alliance ends up defeating Apocalypse, you build up to finishing off a round, and then you move into the next round, and each round it gets just a little bit more difficult. It's actually a lot of fun. So first, let's talk about what Apocalypse brings to the table. What kind of enemy is he? So the way that Apocalypse is set up is that he is your main enemy, and he will have varying amounts of health based on what round you are in, but I think he pretty much has a lot in most cases. The tile in each corner of the board is replaced with one of his 4 horsemen. That's War, Famine, Pestilence, and Death. And while each of these is on the board, they each give Apocalypse a passive ability that is kind of terrible, but there is a strategy to remove each one. So starting off with the War tile, first off, you are immediately dealing 25% less damage. So you can bring in your heavy hitters and they're already going to be dealing less damage. However, if you can deal a bunch of damage all at once in one round, not all in one hit, but in one round, you can destroy this tile. The Famine tile destroys 1 AP in your strongest color every round. But if you can collect 9 AP at one time of that color, despite the fact that he's drawing all of your AP out of you, then you then destroy that tile. Pestilence is like an oncoming disease. Every tile that drops has a 10% chance of becoming a strike tile. And you can only destroy the Pestilence tile by getting rid of all strike tiles on the board. The last one is Death, and that's probably the most annoying of the tiles. And it is that every time you defeat one of the other Horseman tiles, it's going to place a 5-turn black counter on the board. And if that hits 0, it downs one of your people, regardless of how much health they have. It just kills them. So there are basically only 2 strategies to fighting Apocalypse. One is to whittle away at the different conditions in order to defeat the Horsemen, or to just deal a ton of damage all at once to Apocalypse. So let's talk about the second one first, dealing a lot of damage all at once. Sometimes that's the only way to defeat him, because one of the biggest things about Apocalypse is that if you don't bring him down to 0 by the end of a round, he immediately heals everything back. So even if you brought him down to 1 hit point, if you did not take him out in that round, he is back up to full. That only goes away after you have defeated all 4 of the Horseman tiles. So if you've gotten rid of all 4 Horseman tiles, then you can just fight them normally, and the damage that you deal sticks around. But if you have characters who can deal a ton of damage just in a single round, then sometimes you don't even have to worry about the Horsemen. You can go straight for Apocalypse, bring them to 0, the game ends. But if you don't have enough firepower in order to do that, there are obviously some characters that work really well against Apocalypse and some that don't. You definitely would not want to bring, let's say, Carnage with you, because he's going to keep putting those attack tiles on the board, thus you won't be able to get rid of the Pestilence tile. You might not want to bring somebody like the 5-star Iceman, because if your strongest color ends up being blue, then as soon as you have 4 more of it, he's going to spend it, which means you won't be able to accumulate all of the AP necessary to get rid of the Famine tile. But there are a few characters that are really good for fighting against Apocalypse. So the first one I'm going to mention is Kate Bishop. I don't actually use Kate Bishop a whole lot. However, one of her abilities, her blue power, is kind of interesting. She deals a bunch of damage and creates a 5-turn blue tile. And while that tile is on the board, your enemy cannot regain health. So that's kind of a big deal, especially when you're dealing with somebody who instantly regains all of their health all at once at the end of each round. But if you use her, he can't, which can actually turn the tide in a fight against Apocalypse. Characters like Medusa, I always suggest Medusa, but she's really good at eating away or possibly converting those attack tiles to other tiles. Also, if she matches them, she creates more AP, which might defeat the Famine tile. Nightcrawler's also really good against him because his blue power deals a bunch of damage based on how much AP your enemy has, your target. And Apocalypse, usually after a couple of rounds, has built up a nice quantity of black. Two characters I like to suggest for any fight where you're fighting just a single enemy would be the 4-star Danny Rand Iron Fist. His green ability does damage and then does damage again if it's only one enemy on the board. Also the 4-star Riri, her red ability does a bunch of damage if there's only one enemy. So that's honestly a good assortment of characters for you to use. Then anybody who can destroy tiles, anybody who does a bunch of damage. For instance, Totally Awesome Hulk is really great, Thing is pretty good. The list can go on and on for characters who would be good. And sometimes Apocalypse is insanely easy, and other times he'll just wreck you, especially in later rounds when you're fighting. But I hope that this is going to help you strategize the next time that Apocalypse rears his ugly head, and hopefully this video will help you defeat him much faster and, of course, with the help of your alliance, get all of those juicy rewards that he gives. If you have any other character suggestions or strategies, definitely go ahead and put those down in the comments. Also, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. Consider becoming a YouTube member, that helps out the channel here. Otherwise, thanks for coming to MPQ Mastery. Go destroy some gems.